Welcome to On the Rise. I am Evan Murray, and this is awesome. We're here to talk about all the fun facts of Chinese language music. Yeah, well, I'm super happy to talk to you and learn about these things, and also to share this knowledge with other people. I'm very interested in how your journey progresses. Can you teach me something? Something I could just use? Like, maybe it's like, if I'm in danger, I'll have to use it, or if I get lost on the street, or if I don't know, something that could be useful for me. And can you teach me something? I'll try it out.
It's so bad because when people talk about this kind of stuff for Cantonese, immediately just swear words come to mind.
Yes, I'm a holistic practitioner, and these are my F words.
Yeah, but, well, I don't know if you've learned this before, but quite helpful in Cantonese is just to say, like, lido.
Okay, nido.
Yeah.
I'll do this. Can I do it like that?
Yeah.
Nido. Oh, yeah, no one's watching this. Okay, so what does that mean?
That just means here.
Here?
Yeah, so if you're like, in a taxi and you want to get off, you'll be like, oh, lido, lido.
Lido. Lido. Okay. Actually, that's quite useful. So it's like Lido. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Well, very traditionally, I think it's meant to be like N-E-D-O, almost like Nido.
Oh, Nido.
But
okay.
like colloquially, I think we all say it more like an L, like Lido.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That would be useful when I want the door to fly open in Hong Kong, right? I'd be like, Nido. Okay. All right. How about your favorite foods? You like to like just kind of get random pieces of food, like you're not like a sit down and eat a big steak kind of person. You like to like kind of like little pieces here and there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a Canto thing because like we're so used to having like traditionally at home for dinner, if it's cooked, there'll be like your bowl of rice, but then you might have like, depending on your family size, like 3 different dishes to just share.
Right. That was one of the, that's a little bit in Mandarin culture too, or Mandarin, or in Taiwan, let's say, because one thing that was really interesting for me, like, living in this side of the world is that, like, I'm so used to having like a big plate of food to myself and like, just eating it or whatever. And coming here and then it's like sitting down with like family and friends and stuff like that. It's like, you have your bowl of rice, and then they just put the dishes on the table, and I'm like, "Hey, which one is mine?" And they're like, "No, it's not like that. We're all eating together, right?"
Yeah.
So that was that was kind of a very interesting thing.
Yeah, and the variety is so important to me.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because you've lived in Canada and you've had experiences there. What does it mean to you that Canada is elevating the Chinese languages now? What does that mean to you as a Chinese-speaking person and someone who's lived between both worlds?
Yeah, I mean, it's if it keeps going and it really happens to like a certain, like, I think it's just so amazing. Like, it's so important to me, having grown up there and like, honestly, I've definitely felt like, the outsider sometimes, right? Especially.
I think it's important to talk about that. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because we want to really give people a sense of what that actually means, or what it meant to you to be a Canadian and wanting to participate inside of Canada, inside of the music industry, but yet feeling on the outsider, like it wasn't for you to do that. Let's talk about that. I mean, that's an important thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm very honest, and this is a bit sad, it's hard to like think about even for me sometimes, but like I lived in the US for college, and then I was also in London for a little while for like a music course that I mentioned earlier. And I really love it, but like honestly, one of the reasons why I did not choose to like maybe stay there and try to pursue a career was honestly just I did not believe like an Asian person could make it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that sentiment has been, the more people I'm meeting inside of the Chinese language music industry, this is exactly what's being said, is that it was like, I didn't feel I had the ability to even build a career in Canada. And, Canada has had major losses because of that, because Canada didn't have the space for people, because there is the marketplace, obviously. Like, there are a lot of Chinese-speaking people in Canada. I mean, in Vancouver, I think it's 1 out of 5 people speak a Chinese language, but yet Canada doesn't even have a marketplace for it. And so the significant loss for people having to move and then pay their taxes to other countries, set up their career in different places. It is sad. It is sad, and I'm very sorry for that. I'm very sorry for your experience.
No, thank you. I think it's just the times, and like it's getting way better. Like a lot more different, people. I think doing like things that are like visibility, right? Like even like some of the artists I mentioned earlier, like Keshi, like that helps a lot to see like an Asian person make it have commercial success in English music. And so. Sometimes it's hard because it feels like, and this is kind of real talk, but it's kind of like, so many of us can speak like 2 to 3 to 4 languages. And there's
like yourself.
And there's such a space there for us to actually like reach out to all these different, communities and stuff and share our culture or even like just music. But there's, as you said, there kind of isn't the space or channel for that until maybe more recently.
Well, the other thing too is like Jade Music Festival is thinking about having an award, like going towards an award capacity in 2023. And the reason why we want to do this is because we don't really think Canada really understands how much it has to gain from the Chinese language, speaking people around the world. I mean, the thing is like, if there was actually a space in Canada where there was a marketplace and people were involved in the elevation and the normalization and even like radio, television in these languages, because they are global languages. Like if you go anywhere in the world, you're going to meet Chinese speaking people, like no matter where you are, just like English, right? Like we need to really understand that the world is more than English, obviously. And it can just do a lot for Canada. It can do a lot for Canadians as well, So that's why the more I thought about it, when this kind of opportunity came up for me, working in this kind of space, and because of I've spent years in Asia, and I'm a Canadian, but the thing is like even being a Caucasian Canadian, I can still see the benefits into the future of everyone kind of having a space and a place to grow and develop. And that would be the dream, and I think it would just add diversity and interesting things to the community of Canada. I don't think it would necessarily be a takeover or a threat or anything. Absolutely, I think that's really important that you mentioned that. It is absolutely not a takeover or a threat. It's actually just something we're sharing. I mean, Canada is the world, and that's one thing that I'm very proud of being a Canadian. When I go to other places, is I can tell them, like, actually, no, it's not just white people. Like, Canada is the world, but the thing is, we're just kind of coming, to the realization that we have to, Canadians really have to embrace that. All Canadians have to embrace that we are a global community, So, and that's what kind of makes Canada amazing, is that it's the world. So I share your sentiments in that 100%.
Yeah. I think it would just be great. Like, there's more options, more things to listen to, look at, understand if you want,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, travel to Canada. Go to Canada.
Yes.
Spend money in Canada. Live in Canada. That's what we're trying to get across here. All right. So now you got a new song coming out, and I guess the thing is, this podcast, I'm not absolutely certain when it's going to be released, but we're looking at, I believe my editors are telling me it's going to be around the mid-September mark, but in real time, where we're sitting right now on the 25th of August, you have a song coming out at midnight tonight. Is that correct?
Very exciting.
Okay, now this song's already going to be out. I'm actually going to be checking how it's doing into the future. But let's talk about that song right now. Tell me about this. Now, I remember you also told me you have an album coming out later this year, right?
Probably more like early next year at this rate.
Early next year,
yes.
2023. So is this the first release of what's going to be that album?
No, so the album coming out next year will be a culmination of my whole like sound healing into cantopop infusion project.
Okay.
And there should be around 7 songs there, maybe more. And this song coming out tomorrow, my time, is the fourth installment in this series.
Oh, so by the time it's next year, you'll have 7 songs that then will be a package that you've delivered.
Yes,
So,
yes.
And this is the 4th installment in that kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Okay, so you have a concept. Of course you do.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, you're all like, it's all cerebral. So this is a concept developing, and
Yes.
you're in the 4th stage. Okay, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What's the significance of 7, first of all?
Okay, so it's quite a... Okay, this gets a bit like mystical, esoteric, but it's quite
I'm sure it does.
It's quite a significant number in many cultures, many beliefs. You know, it's like a lucky
It's very
number.
lucky. It's a very lucky number. Right?
If people are into yoga, you know, you have like 7 chakras in your body that you're supposed to kind of try to heal, like 7 energy centers in your body.
Okay.
That you're supposed to try to heal through, you know, natural therapy.
It's a very significant number, like universally across many different mystical interpretations, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of just like cool number to have. And that gives me the chance to have a sidetrack, actually.
Can you give me a little, or can you tell me the secret of like so obviously these are modes you're going through as well, I'm assuming.
Yes,
like there's
exactly.
mode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What was 1, 2, and 3? What were those modes?
Okay, so the first one was a song I mentioned earlier in the interview. It's called Sound of Silence.
Okay, right.
Yes,
right, okay.
and that was about, to me, the beginning of... So this whole concept is basically I'm trying to take listeners through a whole like self-healing journey from the first song to the last song. To me, like kind of what are some steps that we can go through that I struggle through as well. Even though I'm a sound healing practitioner, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm like totally healed. This is my like remedy for you. I'm trying to like struggle with everyone because I think, you know, these life lessons are like quite eternal. Like you have to keep coming back to them. But
Wow.
So each song is a different like life lesson per se. So the first one was inspired by my insomnia. So it was about just kind of finding our inner voice and inner peace again. Because to me,
Right, the sound of silence. Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, like finding, what's silence? It's not a lack of sound. It's actually like a state, like a peace.
State of being. Hey, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So it's an inner peace. And to me, without that, you can't really progress into any other steps of healing because you're not quiet and aware of yourself yet. So that was my...
Take me into number 2. So where do we go from there? Now you got me. Now you got people trying to sleep better.
Yeah.
What are you doing in number 2?
Number 2 was actually the Mandarin version of that song. So
Okay.
It was called The Sound of Life. So...
Oh my God, that's so interesting. And is that like a translation thing, or tell me why that's a difference?
Yeah, so it was an amazing translation from Cantonese to Mandarin. Basically, for Chinese listeners, the Cantonese was 声之境, so 声之境in Mandarin. And the second song, he translated it to mean, instead of Sound of Silence, he translated it to mean the sound of life. But it's the same pronunciation. It's also 声之境.
Like, especially like when I'm hearing you talk about these things and the fact that you have multiple languages, it seems like the depth of life just keeps growing, right, from like the interpretations.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see that unfold and like be able to use that in my own music. And then onto the third one, that was about, okay, what do you do after you've kind of found your inner peace and your outer peace as well? And then I talked about the next step to being to like kind of face yourself and facing your fears.
Okay. And what is that called? Tell me about the title.
That was called Thank You, My Fears.
Oh, so like kind of embracing, like thanking your fears for making you stronger.
Yeah, stronger, more aware of like where you are, who you are. Like, for example, I have a huge like insecurity / like fear of abandonment, that kind of stuff. But then that actually informs me that like, oh, I need to be more like secure. I need to be more like stable in myself, you know? So kind of like embracing it.
Right. So if you have that fear, that penetrating fear of abandonment, that's maybe a signal. That's like the environment or your body telling you that you have to be more independent. Right. Like it's a reflective interpretation is what you're doing.
Right. Like using it to learn more about yourself and like embracing it and stuff.
Very interesting.
And
it sounds a lot like psychology.
Yeah, and I really loved one of the lines in that song where the lyricist wrote about... So usually I don't write my own lyrics. I give my concept and I work with established lyricists here. But there was this line that I loved, and it was like, it's to regain your inner freedom by facing your fears. And that was very cool for me because it's about like not being limited by these beliefs.
And drum roll. Number 4. Tell us about number 4.
Yeah, so after 3 songs of more like personal introspection and working with yourself, I thought part 4 should start talking about like relationships with others. And so part 4 is about letting go and forgiving.
Okay, so this is in the detriment of relationships. I mean, relationships are very hard to maintain.
Yeah.
But one of the things is that they kind of set us on a pathway as well. And then sometimes when we leave these relationships where there's something lingering there or something that invades our peace or our, it kind of attaches itself to our personality as well.
Right.
So you're talking about now being able to let that, is it about letting negative things go, or is it about, like, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, to me it's like the hardest thing to ever do. I'm so bad at it too. But I think it's more about like letting go of that person or that thing that hurt you. And by forgiving them, or even like the ultimate goal is to actually be able to like wish them well.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's the struggle. That's the struggle.
1 + 1 equals, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it comes, like, part of the song that I was very adamant about when I spoke to the lyricist was to not shy away from how bad it was. So some of the lyrics are quite graphic, like about having scars all over your body and stuff. So I think one of the ways is to first acknowledge like how bad you were hurt or how you actually feel, how crazy it was, and then kind of move on from there.
So it's more or less like not like really an answer, but more of like an antidote. Like, hey, like you can get through this. You can overcome this. Is that a lot what it's about?
Yeah, and I think I put the angle more on like letting go / forgiving for your own sake, so that you can like be reborn from the situation, as you said, to not be like have attached and like morph your personality around this person or this thing that hurt you.
Well, what about you? What's your favorite type of music? And if you have one, because I know it's a terribly complicated question, but if you can tell me if you have a favorite song. We talked about it. I know what kind of music you like. You like, the Keisha guy, and you like J-rock. You like, those are the kind of stuff that you're interested in. But tell me about some of your favorite songs.
Yeah. I really love like just good acoustic folk as well. Like just very like soulful, heartfelt, like simple songwriter kind of stuff. Now,
you're talking like Joni Mitchell-ish, or are you talking more like modern?
Yeah,
like modern?
For me, more modern, but I guess it stems back to, I appreciate her music a lot too. I love cinematic sounding stuff, often soundtracks from shows or movies. Are
you a musical person? Like, are you, and I don't mean that in the obvious way, I mean like musical theater. Like, do you like to watch musicals?
Yeah, I do, and I've had the chance to star in a couple before. So
tell me about that. Which ones did you star in?
It was original productions here in Shanghai and also in Hong Kong. So yeah, it's like quite modern music and everything. It was really fun, and it was my first time doing it, so it was really good training actually for my singing career. But apart from that, like I also just love like classic kind of Brit rock, like David Bowie.
Okay. So you like the dirty, aggressive stuff. Like
I do. There's a part
artsy,
of me like,
New York, that kind of.
There is a part of me that is like that for sure. But favorite song, like there's a song that I once listened to over 100 times on a flight, just on loop. That was crazy.
Oh my God. What would possess you to do that? What song is this?
So it's actually a Jay Chou song.
Okay.
Yes, and it's called, I think, I don't know what the official name in English is, but I think it translates to like sunny day or like something like that. 晴天. And it's just like, I don't know, this is my favorite song. It's so calming, it's so heart-wrenching, and like I'm scared of flying, so I just listen to it to feel calmer.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's just a very classic like pop rock ballad, but it's just so good. I don't know.
Okay. Well, no, that's really interesting because if it's something that can, like, again, like you're kind of showcasing the power of music, where if you're ultimately scared of not having the control of flying this skyscraper that's whipping through the sky at 700 miles per hour, is that you have a song that you turn to, and that's powerful, right? That tells you something right inside of that.
Yeah, and that's how I experience music, and that's how I'd like to make music too, I guess. Really informs me.
Well, I think you're surpassing that. I think your potential is now expanding into like mind control. No, I'm just kidding. Not mind control, but you know what I'm saying? Like, helping people control their own mind. Control their own emotions. So this is really interesting. Everything has to do with reflection here. Do you have special habits when you write a song? Like, do you have are you ceremonial? How do you take this on? Like, are you sipping on coffee one day or eating one of your sesame rolls and then you're like, oh my God, I have this great idea. Like, bring me through that process.
I'm probably a bit too chill about these processes. Like, often I just try to let it come organically. Like, obviously there's times when you're like, oh my God, I need to write something, and you just try to like sit down and do something. But a lot of times, like, melodies have come to me at the most random times. Like, I remember for one of my singles, the melody for the chorus came the minute my plane landed. Like, when you bumped on the floor. And it just came. And
okay, like it just like bumped out of your head. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah. And like I have a voice recording of me like immediately in my seat taking out my phone and singing it in the plane.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
this is something, when you say something like that, like I know you don't like flying, and the thing is when you're landing, obviously you're like, oh my God, finally I'm here. The plane touches the ground, and then pop comes out. What happened? What song was that? What lyrics were?
It was like, can we stay just a little longer this way? It was like
okay, so like there sounds like a little bit of security there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I guess like I'm relaxed and it just comes out or something.
Okay. Now, once you have that thought, so you have that original thought, you have that inspiration, what's the process then? Do you have a process? Like how, because you're a very conceptual person. Like you're not just like, oh yeah, Wonderwall. Oh, that song's about, I'm rocking and rolling. Like there's huge concepts going on here. So do you have like a whiteboard that you're like marking different things? Are you drawing maps? Are you like, are you doing like, you got like this like, it sounds like ecological, like there's an ecosystem of all these emotions and life experiences, like something's here. I don't know what it is, but I'm searching now. Like, can you bring me more inside of your process?
Yeah, I love just notebooks, just good old-fashioned handwritten notebooks. As you said, like drawing mind maps or brainstorms. Often when I have the beginning of a concept, I'll just like literally start brainstorming. Like I'll write the concept in the middle, like, time or whatever. And then I'll like just start branching off into little bubbles of like what I think about this. And that's kind of usually how it begins. Just very like pen to paper organically. I like to like go near water. I just love water, like ocean. So luckily I live in Hong Kong. I don't know, that really helps me. I like to just sing random bits and pieces into my phone, like not feel pressure to like have a fully formed thing. But yeah, I love just writing, like brainstorming, and I actually love co-writing because I think often it's very it's much easier to bring out better things when you're not by yourself.
So definitely one of the songs that we want Canadians to listen to is Sound of Silence. Like we want English. Well, even if you're American, you're welcome to join. But you and a British and Australian and New Zealand and wherever else you are speaking English, we definitely want you to check out Sound of Silence. That's something we definitely want people to check out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of the first song of my whole concept album right now, so it'll be a good introduction.
And they can start moving with you, right? They can start understanding, where you're going, what the potential is. Now, I have one last question for you. What is the most awesome thing, since we're on this is awesome podcast, what is the most awesome thing that has ever happened to you?
That's ever happened to me?
Ever in your whole entire life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay.
The awesomest. Not the awesomer. The awesomest.
Gosh. Okay, well, I'm just going to have to go back to like a fangirl experience.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I've spoken about Jay Chou a lot in this podcast.
Oh, and you got to meet him.
I got to meet him. And it was amazing because, I don't know, he's just the biggest inspiration for my songwriting itself. And in my debut year, I got to meet him because he came to Hong Kong for a concert, and I was able to go backstage to say hi and take a picture and all that. And I brought him my album, my physical album, and I signed it, and I wrote a letter on the cover, basically,
I love you, be my husband, I'll have all your kids.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And then I gave it to him, and I just expected to be like, oh, thanks, bye, kind of thing, take a picture. But I guess because I had debuted in Taiwan and worked a lot in Taiwan that year, he said oh, I've seen this.
Oh.
And then
so you're oh my God.
No, even worse, I burst out crying.
Oh my God. Well, no, I mean, come on, you're listening to this guy's song 100 times in an airplane. I don't actually blame you for crying at that point, right?
Yeah, I was just I cry. I'm not moving. He's what on earth? What do I do? I'm just crying, and then I'm all right, thank you, bye, and I just run away.
Yeah, what a special experience. And because the humility, right? This is obviously someone that you idolize or have some sort of, I put him on some kind of pedestal.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, hey, Jocelyn, it's been super great to talk to you. You're such an interesting person, and you have so many interesting creative ideas. I'm really thankful to talk with you and to talk about the things that you're doing. Again, we all just want to make the world a little bit smaller and a little bit better for everybody. And I think you're well on your way of doing that. So, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're actually doing something to elevate Chinese music, and that's so huge to our community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, the team I have with me they're all about this thing, Charlie Wu and, the Society of We Are Canadians Too. And also I want to just give big props to the Canadian government, Vancouver City and the rest for supporting this as well, because
amazing.
we're all in this together. So thanks very much, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Everyone out there, thank you for listening. Please hit the like and subscribe. And Jocelyn, I wish you all the best,
Thank
and
you,
I hope
you
someday I get to meet you. All right?
Yes, me too. See you in Vancouver.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care now.